Growing up, my sister and I were inseparable. We shared everything, our childhood dreams, our secrets, our fears. Even as we grew older, I thought we'd always have each other's backs. But, in one cruel twist of fate, that bond was shattered forever. It all started after our parents passed away unexpectedly in a car accident. Their deaths were a tragedy, and the grief was unbearable. But it wasn't just the emotional turmoil that tore me apart. It was what came after their passing, the betrayal. Our parents were middle-class, hard-working individuals. They didn't have much, but what they did have, they worked tirelessly for. It was no surprise to anyone when they left behind a modest estate, a small house, some savings, and a few heirlooms passed down through the generations. At least, that's what I thought they had. Little did I know, there were secrets hidden in their will, secrets that would change my life forever. When the time came to read the will, I sat next to my sister, trying to stay calm despite the whirlwind of emotions coursing through me. We were both in our late 20s now, yet still feeling like lost children without our parents. The lawyer, Mr. Harris, cleared his throat and began reading out the will. I wasn't really paying attention at first, just trying to hold back the tears, but then something Mr. Harris said caught my ear. To my beloved daughter, Sophie, he read, I leave the house, all of its contents, and the entirety of our savings to you. Sophie was my sister's name. My heart skipped a beat. But what about me? I asked, my voice shaking. I looked at Sophie, and she was sitting there, her face calm, almost detached. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. There's more, Mr. Harris said, looking at me with a hint of hesitation. He cleared his throat again and continued. Additionally, all the heirlooms, family jewelry, and the investment funds are to be managed by Sophie. The rest of the assets are to be distributed as per her discretion. I could feel my blood boil, but I held myself together, trying to process what I had just heard. I tried to look at Sophie, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. It was then that I knew. My sister had stolen everything that should have been mine. Every little thing my parents had worked for had been handed to her without a second thought, without any explanation. In the weeks that followed, I tried to confront Sophie about the will. I asked her, why? Why did they do this? Why did they leave me with nothing? She simply shrugged it off, acting like it didn't matter to her. She had no remorse, no guilt, nothing. It felt like she didn't care that our parents had betrayed me in this way. I knew something was wrong. I knew deep down that there was more to this than just a simple will. There had to be. Sophie was never the responsible one, the one who could manage all that money and those precious heirlooms. But what could I do? I was in the dark, or at least, I thought I was. I started doing some digging. I began to go through old papers, bank statements, and emails, looking for anything that might explain why my parents had made this decision. One night, as I was going through their old records, I found something strange, an email from my mother, dated just a few months before her death. It was addressed to Sophie, and the subject line read, The Will. I opened the email, my hands trembling, and as I read, the truth hit me like a ton of bricks. My mother had made some significant changes to the will just before her death. She had rewritten everything to make sure Sophie would inherit everything. Why? Because Sophie had convinced her that I would waste it all, that I wasn't capable of handling it. The lies, the manipulation. I couldn't believe it. My own sister had poisoned our mother's mind, making her think I was unworthy, and now, here I was, left with nothing, betrayed by the only family I had left. But that's when I realized something. I couldn't just let this happen. I couldn't let her get away with it. I wasn't going to sit idly by and let Sophie steal everything from me. If she thought she could take everything without facing the consequences, she was wrong. I went to the lawyer. I demanded that he show me the original version of the will. I knew there had to be one, and there it was, hidden away in a safe deposit box. The original will stated that everything would be divided equally between Sophie and me. It was clear that my sister had tampered with the new version to ensure I got nothing. With this newfound evidence, I filed a lawsuit. It was a long and grueling process, but I was determined. I fought tooth and nail for what was rightfully mine. Sophie tried to fight back, but the evidence was undeniable. In the end, the court sided with me, and I was awarded half of everything, half of the house, half of the savings, and half of the heirlooms. But what made it even sweeter was the fact that Sophie had to give back everything she had stolen. The family jewelry, the investments, everything. She had to hand it over, and she was left with nothing. I didn't do this out of greed. I did it because it was the only way to teach her a lesson about respect, about loyalty, and about the fact that betrayal always catches up with you. The day the court ruled in my favor, I stood in the courtroom, my hands shaking, but my heart finally at peace. I looked at Sophie one last time, and she looked away, unable to face the consequences of her actions. As I walked out of the courtroom, I realized something. Revenge wasn't about the things I had won back. It was about taking control of my life again and ensuring that I would never let anyone walk over me again, not even family. I had my inheritance, yes, but more importantly, I had regained my dignity and my strength, and that was the sweetest victory of all.